Hi, my name is Emma Pass. I am a Google certified innovator, an EdTech consultant, hybrid teacher, and a secondary English teacher. And in this video today, I'm going to be talking to you about an annotation strategy I use from this book, Whole Novels for the Whole Class by Ariel Sachs, using Jamboard. Whenever my students are reading a class novel together, I'm always asking them to be annotating as they read. And from the book, I ask them to read in these three different ways, making their annotations either literal, so these are vocabulary words, quotes, or big moments from the text they're observing. Inferential, they're guesses as to what's happening, what will happen, or characters based on evidence they find in the text. And then they're critical annotations, they're thoughts, questions, connections, and emotions towards the text. I'm actually having them annotate in sticky notes directly in the book or on Kami with digital sticky notes. Then when we come together as a class, we do what's called a round robin. And I'm asking my students to share one or more annotation from their recent reading that they have. So I'm asking them to actually open up their books, find that annotation, or open up the PDF book on Kami and find an annotation that they'd like to share. Sometimes we sit in an actual circle and go around one by one talking, but other times we use Jamboard. So what I'll show you today is how I use Jamboard to collect annotations in a round robin style discussion. One way you could do this is you could just create a new Jamboard. So from your drive, going to that new button, more, and Jamboard, create and share. You can just create a blank Jamboard, share it with your students, and give them the instructions to write an annotation with your name on the Jamboard. Right? Then you're going to share this link up here from the top right-hand corner with your class, making sure any one of your students is allowed to edit. So I might post this link to our Google Classroom or whatever other learning management system you're using. If your students are virtual, you can drop it for them in a chat box. Then from here, students can grab a sticky note and they can write their annotation. And I always ask them to label the annotation with whatever category it falls under. So was it literal? Was it inferential? Or was it critical? And you can also do this by color. So students could know that literal is yellow, inferential is green, or critical is blue. And they can all just contribute and collaborate on the board there. Alternatively, I often use a template with students' names already put on the board just to save us a little bit of chaos when they're getting onto the Jamboard itself. So at the beginning of the year when I get my roster, I make a Jamboard that looks like this for each class. I put one sticky note with each student's name on the board. And then whenever I want to use this for a round robin, I'll go to my three dots up here, make a copy, and then I'll call this round robin. From that copy, I can now give the instructions for them to put their annotation on their sticky note, and students know that the expectation is they're double clicking into their sticky note, writing, and then labeling, again, either with a letter and or with a color, so they can change their own color of their sticky note. One nice thing about using Jamboard to collect all these annotations is it can really help guide the discussion. So for example, if you do have students categorize their literal, inferential, and critical thoughts by color, before you start discussing while students are still working, you can be sorting those over onto the sides of the board by color. And then you might start by asking the students with literal annotations to just share their literal observations. Then the students who had inferences to share their inferences. And finally, the students with critical thoughts could go last because those will often prompt the most discussion, right? Because they're usually questions that students are asking. Another nice thing about using Jamboard to help facilitate this discussion is if you have a really great question or thought that you want to highlight, you can do that by dragging the corner, making that question big, or even copying it onto a new Jamboard page, pasting it there, and asking each of the students to go and respond. So you could ask each student to now go onto the second page and respond to that question. Jamboard is just one way that we can help organize and facilitate a discussion on annotations based on the literal, inferential, and critical note-taking strategy from whole class novels for the whole class.